Part 2 is my absolute favorite. Part 2 starts off with this woman who is getting ready for dinner. And we see that this woman has like 20 different alarm clocks and like 8 locks on every door that she has. Then her dog starts barking and she forgets to lock one of her windows. Later that night, she wakes up to someone knocking on her door. When she goes into the kitchen, they are trying to crawl through her window. Obviously, she gets freaked out, but it turns out that it's Dina and Josh. And when the woman asks who they are, Dina replies with, "You called us." So it turns out that this is C. Berman, the woman they called in the first movie. And they say, "We need your help," and show her Sam, who is in the trunk of the car, still tied up because she is writhing and screaming. And after some convincing, she finally relents and agrees to tell them what happened at Camp Nightwing back in '78. So then we jump back to 1978 to this place called Camp Nightwing. And we meet this character. Her name is going to be Ziggy Berman, and she is being pursued through the woods by a group of bullies, led by this girl, Sheila, who's just a raging bitch. And the bullies proceed to tie Ziggy up and burn her. They're about to take this even further, but before they can, this counselor here comes running up and stops all of the shit. And Ziggy sarcastically thanks him and calls him future police chief Nick Good. So now we know that this is Sheriff Good as a teenager. We then meet Ziggy's older sister, Cindy Berman, so C. Berman, and she is cleaning off this moss in the outhouse with her boyfriend Tommy. She then realizes that 2 camp counselors who are supposed to be helping them are missing, and she walks in on them messing around to the song Cherry Bomb. Cindy and Alice kind of have like this little spat because it turns out they used to be really good friends before Cindy decided to like try and change her image to be more like Sunnyvale. Meanwhile, Ziggy goes to see Nurse Lane because of the burn on her arm, and she finds this like weird ass witchy book in the infirmary. And mind you, Nurse Lane like Ruby Lane. And Nurse Lane starts to go into a bit of a tangent about her daughter. It seems like she's almost zoning out. Now Cindy and Tommy are cleaning the mess hall, and Cindy is so pissed about her fight with Alice that she actually breaks the sponge that she was using. So obviously she leaves to go get a new one. And when she gets back, she and Tommy are both startled by Nurse Lane, who proceeds to tell Tommy, one way or another, "You're going to die tonight," before attacking him with a knife. Tommy is able to throw her off, but he hits his head hard in the process. Tommy and Cindy go to the infirmary in hopes of finding a motive for whatever the fuck that was. And they find this book. And the book says that years ago, Sarah Fier made a deal with the devil and cut off her own hand. Alice and Arnie then bust into the infirmary, and they find that there's a map in the book with the location of Sarah Fier's old house. So obviously, as most teenagers would do, they drag Cindy and Tommy to go find it. Meanwhile, this big-ass game of capture the flag has started at the camp, so like everyone's hiding in the woods at this point. A little bit earlier, Sheila and her Goonies had spray painted some insane insults on the wall in Ziggy's cabin, so of course now Ziggy's out for revenge. But Nick gives her an idea on how she can get back at Sheila. Meanwhile, our core 4 show up at Sarah Fier's house, which is like these stairs leading down to an underground cavern. And they also see that there's like a shit ton of graves dug up around this place. And they deduce that Nurse Lane was digging these because she had been looking for Sarah Fier's body and hand. Mind you, ever since Tommy got hit in the head, he's been very like dazed and catatonic. Meanwhile, the girls are looking around the cavern, and Alice finds this wall with all the names of the Shadyside Killers etched into it, including Tommy's name. The girls are now in a second room in the cavern, but back in the first room, Arnie's trying to see if Tommy's okay. And Tommy proceeds to randomly pick up an axe and kill Arnie. Of course, both the girls witness this, and they scream and they run into another room in the cavern. Luckily, before Tommy can catch them, the entrance collapses and buries him. Weirdly enough, he's still alive, so he goes back the other way back to camp. Back at camp, Nick and Ziggy prank Sheila by locking her in the outhouse and dumping a bucket of bugs on her. This bitch totally deserved it. Because of this prank, the two of them start to bond, and they actually end up kissing. Meanwhile, Tommy has started killing Shadyside campers, and the screams alert Nick and Ziggy. Meanwhile, Nick and the other counselors end up rounding up the campers into the mess hall, but remember, because of that big-ass capture the flag game, not all of the campers are in the mess hall. Meanwhile, in the cavern, Cindy and Alice discover that this symbol here is actually a map of the cavern, and they start to use it in hopes of finding a way out. The girls come across like this weird-ass, like, gross beating heartbeat creature, and when Alice goes to touch it, she sees visions of all of the killers and all of the victims from the years before. So this causes her to scream and run, but she falls and breaks her leg. It's disgusting. You can see the bones sticking out. It's gross. Back at camp, Ziggy realizes that she had left Sheila in the outhouse and runs out to go save her. Back in the cavern, Cindy and Alice kind of reconcile over their old friendship because, of course, they haven't been friends for a while. And they find some moss and they realize that they are directly under the outhouse. And remember, Ziggy is in the outhouse after having saved Sheila. So Ziggy actually hears Cindy and Alice screaming for help, and she and another counselor named Gary try and start pulling them up using a rope. But then Tommy comes in with his axe, kills Counselor Gary, and fucking attacks Ziggy, which of course causes them to drop the rope. So now Cindy and Alice are stuck down there. Back at camp, Ziggy runs from Tommy and ends up running into Nick. The two of them hide in like this random cabin that's full of like a bunch of animals, including a fucking snake, which Ziggy hates. Me too, girl. However, Tommy finds both of them in that cabin and attacks them. Tommy injures Nick, and Nick tells Ziggy to run because there's a bus leaving camp with all the campers. But Ziggy fucking misses the bus, of course. Back down in the caverns, Alice tells Cindy to go save her sister, but she's injured, so she'll just catch up. And Cindy ends up right underneath the mess hall. Meanwhile, Ziggy runs into the mess hall pursued by Tommy, and she turns on music so he can't hear her. And you guys, this is fucking awesome because the song that she turns on is Carry On My Wayward Son. Tommy attacks Ziggy in a pantry, and in an effort to try and suffocate him, Ziggy puts a sack over Tommy's head. And now he looks like this. Familiar? Right in the nick of time now, Cindy manages to bust her way out through a grate in the floor and kills Tommy. Never fucking mess with siblings, my guy. Alice now makes it up into the mess hall, and she informs them that she has actually found the witch's hand down in the cavern. The trio decide to end the curse by reuniting hand and body, but Ziggy's nose starts bleeding on the hand. And we know from Sam's experience of doing that in the last movie that Ziggy is fucked. And as they're about to leave, Tommy comes back to life and fucking kills Alice. And in a fit of rage, Cindy kills Tommy again. Now, it's a legend that Sarah Fierce's body is buried under this thing called the hanging tree, which is at camp. So Ziggy and Cindy run to the hanging tree and start digging. As they're doing that, we see that thing back in the cavern, like that heartbeat thing, morphine, which resurrects all of the previous killers, including Tommy. Meanwhile, the girls don't find Sarah Fierce's body underneath the hanging tree. Instead, they find a rock with the words, "The witch forever lives." So now they got nothing, they're fucked. And Cindy realizes that the killers are after Ziggy, so she tells Ziggy to run. And Cindy is axed by Tommy. Meanwhile, Ziggy is also being stabbed. And the two of them fucking die lying side by side, looking at each other, reaching for each other. It's fucking heartbreaking, especially to anyone who has a sibling. It now starts to rain, and we see Nick running up to the girls. And he runs up to Ziggy and starts giving her CPR. And somehow, it fucking works. She wakes up. So now you're probably thinking, wait, what the fuck? I thought C. Berman survived. I thought Cindy survived. Turns out, Ziggy's real name is Christina, and Ziggy is a nickname. They had us fucking fooled the whole time. Now we jump back to 1994, where Dina tells adult Ziggy that they found the body. So while the group goes to the hanging tree, which is now the center to the Shadyside Mall, Ziggy stays back and calls Sheriff Good for help. Meanwhile, we see the main group find the hand underneath the hanging tree, and they go to reunite the body with the hand, because they know where the body is, of course. But the second that Dina goes to put the hand back with the body, we have this sudden jump all the way back to 1666, and suddenly Dina is Sarah Fier. So Dina is literally in Sarah Fierce's shoes. And the movie ends right here, perfectly setting us up for the next movie. And something that you'll notice here is the actors from the first two movies played different parts in the third movie, which is pretty cool.